Bum ba da bum 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 ba da bum 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 bum. What's up, y'all? Philyfli show checking in here, kicking it at Right Way Production Studios. Looking around the room, thinking about future picks, thinking about some future stuff. There was some fights have been put out there, and some new ones. Vicente Luque versus Bilal Muhammad was one that was put out just a couple hours ago that I'm pretty excited for. This will be the second time they fought. Vicente Luque did knock him out at UFC 205, so that was kind of important news. But hasn't been many. There's been talk about we're gonna get John Jones' fight announced here soon. Who he's fighting. I the way people are talking on Twitter is everyone thinks it's Stipe, which that wouldn't be bad because of the whole Francis Ngannou thing, and that's just sad in itself. But it was also kind of weird to have 2 weeks of UFC and then have a week off. So that was also kind of weird. I think they did that because of the conference championship. But anyways, we are going to do a small review for pay-per-view 270 just because it's been 2 weeks. I don't usually do big reviews on it, so we'll just go through. I got the first fight wrong, second fight right, all the fights right, all the way up to the Trevin Giles, Michael Moraes fight I got wrong, and Rone Barcelos and Victor Henry, I got that one wrong. They dropped off 2 fights on that one, so it went from a 13 fight card to an 11. So out of the 11 fights, I got 8 right. I did, not just to toot my own horn, kind of. Where is it here? I guess it was only one, or it was technically, is it only technically one? It's only technically one, but I did pick the upset in the main event. It was Francis, even though it's not that big of an upset, but it is one to say, why was he an underdog? Like, I just didn't get that he'd be the underdog. And then finding about his injury after and the way he performed, yeah, that was nuts in itself. Not much else to say. I mean, the rest of the card was kind of easy picking somewhat. My 2 parlays did not hit. They epically failed, and $100 guy failed you, and all your cash guy you didn't get money because Vidata did not even fight. But even with that, I was really excited about that card. That card pulled out to be way better than it looked on paper, so that was kind of cool to see. And we're on to a fight night here this weekend, and I think it's next weekend or next Saturday is Israel Adesanya versus Whitaker 2. That is just that's epic in itself. Not a lot of other big like title fights on there. I don't think there's even another title fight. I think that's the only title fight, so that'll be kind of fun to watch. But we are here for UFC Fight Night, Jackermanson versus Strickland. If you don't know these cats, we'll get into it at the end here, so it's just a little preview into this middleweight matchup. I do like one guy really big over the other, and whoa. Didn't realize that was still on. So it is a 13-leg matchup. We don't know if it's going to be all 13 fights because of the whole, thing in the world that keeps ending some of these fights. But we'll jump into match leg 13, which is a Malcolm Gordon versus Denny Bondar fight. And honestly, guys, Denny Bondar is the favorite, making his UFC debut against a guy who was not supposed to win his last fight. So, dude's rolling on high hopes. I'm going to roll back with him on his high hopes. I am going with Malcolm Gordon, even though he's the underdog. He's a plus 220 underdog, whereas Bondar is a negative 270 favorite. It's a flyweight bout. I'm going Gordon all day, but my confidence level on that is only 1 out of 5. Match leg number 12 here. We got Jason Witt versus Phil Rowe. Welterweight matchup. Jason Witt's a plus 105. Phil Rowe's a negative 125. Now, that's a really close odds makers here. Man, I thought I turned my sound off and I got sidetracked when my other thing was going off. But Phil Rowe here is a way better fighter in the welterweight division than he showed his last fight. Jason Witt is a tough competitor, but I'm going Phil Rowe. Confidence level that he gets the dub is 3 out of 5. All right. So, match like number 11 is Jailton Almeida versus Danilo Marquez. Now, I wanted to go Marquez bad. This is a fight I'm not betting on. I would not bet on this fight, guys. To be honest with you, if I was betting, I would be betting just a small amount on Danilo Marquez because +3, I'd throw him on a couple parlays where the new guys are going to win and just throw him in there to get the money up because he could win this fight. This is a light heavyweight fight, but Almeida is a -400 favorite, and I think this is his UFC debut, whereas Danilo got a nice big win over, the name's escaping me, but it's a decent name up in the light heavyweight division. So +310 on Danilo, -400 on Almeida. Match like number 10 is Alexis Davis versus Julia Sorelenko. And to be honest with you, I remember watching Julia fight someone, and it was not a very good-looking fight, whereas Alexis Davis seems to have this second little surge in her UFC career. Alexis Davis is a -240 favorite, whereas Julia is a 260 underdog, or +200 underdog. That's a bantamweight fight for the females, and I'm going Alexis Davis. 3 out of 5 on my confidence level there, so I'd bet on that fight for you guys. Pretty much my level of betting is if I put a 1, I'm not confident in it, so I'm not really going to bet it. Even a 2, I'm probably not so confident that I'd bet it. It's a risk if I bet it. Match leg number 9 is Chidi Norguani versus Marc-Andre Baralt, and Chidi is a +100 underdog, whereas Mark is a -120 favorite. It's a middleweight fight. Both guys can hit hard, so I went Mark, but it's only a 2 out of 5 on my confidence level there. All right, next we got Hakeem Dawodu versus Mikel Trezano. This is a big fight that you guys need to pay attention to. I cannot believe it's on a prelim and not the featured prelim. That should definitely be on the main card / featured prelim, if anything. Not the fight before the featured prelim. It's a featherweight bout, and Hakeem Dawodu is a -180 favorite, whereas Mikel Trezano is a +155 underdog. Don't sleep on this fight. I'm picking Dawodu to win, but it's only a 2 out of 5 confidence level, so I kind of would stay away from that on betting style. Match leg number 7 is Miles John versus John Castaneda. And man, this is a good bantamweight fight, but Miles John looks like a killer. He's a -190 favorite, whereas Castaneda is a +160. It's kind of going to be hard for the announcers to be like Miles John or John Castaneda, so it's going to be literally Miles and Castaneda is what they're going to call him. That is a feature prelim bout, but I would bet on that one because it's a 4 out of 5 on confidence that Johns gets the dub. We jump to the main card. Julian Arosa versus Steven Peterson. Featherweight bout. You're going to love Steven Peterson's front chest, like Superman tattoo. That thing's pretty sick. But Julian Arosa is a great fighter. He's a -310 favorite, whereas Steven Peterson is a +250 underdog. Peterson's gotten a +200 underdog win before. I've watched it. I don't remember which exact event it was. I've watched way too many events to memorize all that stuff so far. But I'm going Arosa with a 4 out of 5 confidence that Arosa gets a big old dub there. All right, match leg number 5 is Trishan Gore, who is making his UFC debut. He's a 4-0 fighter versus Brian Battle, who is the underdog in this fight. This is a middleweight fight. Gore is a -160 favorite, whereas Brian Battle is a +135 underdog. Brian Battle's 7-1 in his career too, so he has a couple more fights than Gore, and I think Brian gets the win as the underdog. So that's 2 big underdog picks I'm throwing out to you. Next is match leg number 4. Smiling Sam Alvey versus Brendan Allen. In this light heavyweight fight, looks like Brendan Allen's going up to light heavyweight and skipping middleweight with his couple losses because he's a little upset with himself. But also, Smiling Sam Alvey probably cannot get back down to 185 anymore. Alvey is a +310 underdog, whereas Brendan is a -400 favorite. Brendan gets a dub here. I do not see a way Sam gets a win. If Sam gets a win, he's going out. That's why he keeps fighting. He's on like he got a draw in between like two losses, but it's pretty much 5 straight losses. He doesn't get a win here. He's finally done in the UFC. That's a 4 out of 5 on my confidence if I didn't say that. Match like number 3 is Shavkat Kayat versus Shavkat Kayat Rachmanov versus Carlston Harris. Big welterweight fight. Fun fight to watch because Shavkat is undefeated, and we'll see if his if his 0 goes in his loss record. Whereas Carlston has got a big win under his belt against good UFC guy. So see if his confidence goes in there. Negative 230 on Shavkat. Carlston is a plus 190 underdog. I'm going Shavkat all day. The co-main event is another big fight. So this UFC fight night, if you don't pay attention to the UFC, these are all big names that are up and coming. Puhel Soriano versus Nick how do you say this? Hold on. Puhel Soriano versus Nick Maximov. Ooh, that's a hard name to say. Soriano is a negative 190 favorite, whereas Nick is a plus 160 underdog. Nick is undefeated, whereas Soriano just took his first L in a decision loss, but I think he's going to work on his cardio, so it's going to be a big fight for him. I'm going Soriano, negative 190 on the favorite, 3 out of 5 on my confidence level there. On that Shavkat pick, 3 out of 5 on confidence there. Now we get to the main event of the evening. Very short podcast this week. I do have a couple parlays that I'll throw out there after, but I just want to talk about this middleweight fight about Jackermanson and Sean Strickland. Look, Sean Strickland, since moving to middleweight, is 17-0, guys. Dude has not lost. His only losses are at welterweight. Jackermanson is a great wrestler, but I think Sean striking is going to piece up Jack bad. He did not look himself this last couple fights. Jack is a plus 180 underdog, where Sean Strickland is a negative 220 favorite. Put your money on Sean Strickland to win. 4 out of 5 on the confidence level there. That's just easy money for me at negative 220. All right, we're going to throw out these 2 parlays. The first one's a 4-legged parlay. I'm going Miles John at negative 190. Arosa with that negative 310. Brendan Allen with that negative 400. And Sean Strickland at negative 220. If you didn't pay attention to how I worked that one, that's in my confidence level. That's all my 4s. Here's my 3s. I matched them up with a 5-legger, which is really going to be hard to hit. But if it hits, it'll bring you back good money because you got Rowe on there with negative 125. Alexis Davis with negative 240. Brian Battle with plus 135 to get the money up there. Shavkat with negative 230 favorite. And then Soriano at negative 190. $100 guy. If you're putting money down this week and you're listening to me, go with Rowe. You'll win $75. It'd be nice. And then all your cash guy, put your money on Brendan Allen. Yeah, it's negative 400, but that dude cannot lose to Smiling Sam Alvey. I just do not see it happening. Man. All right, next week, like I said, we got Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker, Bobby Knuckles 2. The ending of that rivalry could come if Adesanya gets a dub. If Whittaker gets a dub, there's automatic rematch, and that division is on hold again. Yeah. All right, y'all. Get at me. Get at my podcast. Get at my YouTube channel. New things are always coming, and next week we have 2 shows coming, but it will be the final show of the NFL edition for the year. And we will be back, later in the season. Maybe do a thing after the draft. Maybe do a thing after free agency. Probably do a thing after the draft because then you can talk about free agency too. So, all right, y'all. Like I said, peace out. Thanks for listening. Shout out to the 999 and shout out to Right Way Production Studios. Peace out.